So I think you can see my screen. It is a pleasure to introduce Dr. Alan Sussman. He's a program director in the Office of Advanced Cyber Infrastructure at the NSF agency in charge of learning and workforce development programs. And he's also active in software and data related cyber infrastructure programs. He's actually a faculty member at the University of Maryland, Computer Science Department. He's on leave. And I believe he will be returning back soon
Not that soon, and
okay.
end of middle of next year.
Oh, okay. So you have one more. Yes. So his research interests focus on system software support for large-scale applications that require high-performance parallel and distributed computing. Working with students and other collaborators at Maryland and other institutions, he has published numerous conference journal papers and received several best paper awards in various topics related to software tools for high-performance parallel and distributed computing. So today he will be focusing on the cyber infrastructure research, learning, and workforce development programs at NSF. And as I indicated yesterday in the opening remarks, we have always, like for the past several years, we always had some student attending the conference when we used to do in person, and NSF was very supportive of that. The students get exposed to the open source software development and high performance computing. Last year we did it virtually, and this year also we are doing, but still Alan will be giving some of the insights, especially for the students and all who are attending this conference. Will be able to find out how NSF focuses a lot on not only just research, but also learning and the workforce development program. Alan, the virtual floor is yours.
Okay, so you're going to have, if you should stop screen sharing.
Yes.
And I'll try. Just give me a second. Okay. So yeah, so this is going to be a little different from all the other talks. I'm going to really focus on both our a couple of research programs, and then it's not just for students, but also for our early career faculty, and also a couple of software development and research programs, software and data research programs. So a little different from previous years, but a lot of it is talking about the same kind of programs. So first, I think I want to just say a little bit about our office, which is a bit of a misnomer. We're one of the divisions in the Computer and Information Science and Engineering Directorate. We're an office for historical reasons, not a division. But the goal of the office is to foster cyber infrastructure ecosystem, and it's all in service of transforming science and engineering research. And we say it both ways: research in cyber infrastructure, research that uses cyber infrastructure, and cyber infrastructure research. So I got this slide from our office director, Manish Parashar. He likes to focus on sort of all the different things that go on in the office in terms of, well, as you can see, right at the top left is people, organizations, and communities, which is what learning and workforce development is all about. But there is a lot of stuff going on in the office that's related to basically infrastructure services, all the large-scale machines that you use. There's been a lot of funding in research programs for MVAPICH in various forms, just for example. And this is looking at sort of all the different parts of our portfolio, and it's all again in service of science and engineering research. So in terms of learning and workforce development, there's really sort of three sort of main communities that we're targeting. The first community is cyber infrastructure contributors, and that's the scientists who develop new capabilities. So this can be physicists, chemists, biologists, whatever, or actually computer scientists. And then there are the users. These are the people who use the cyber infrastructure, so to do their science. And this is, again, an example. A lot of these are, again, domain scientists. And then the last set, which if I can get my screen to continue, are the cyber infrastructure professionals. And this is the professional staff that deploys and supports new capabilities. For example, we fund projects that include people at, say, the Supercomputing Center, the Ohio Supercomputing Center, for example. And that's including in not just in the research projects, but also in the learning and workforce development programs. So let me talk a little bit about the programs. So there's basically these programs, the learning and workforce development programs, cover a wide range, basically from students all the way through mid-career and late career researchers. All sorts of the professional development type opportunities. And so the first one we talk about is for undergraduate students, and that's the REU sites. And actually the deadline for that is today, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. For faculty, for early career faculty, we have two programs. One is for the research initiation. That's across the entire SI's directorate, and that's the CRII, SI's research initiation. And then the other one for early career faculty is the career program, which is an NSF-wide program. And these are the solicitation numbers, the current solicitation numbers. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about each of these soon enough. For training and workforce development, that spans actually the entire, all types of CI, all those three categories of users. We have the cyber training program, which the current solicitation, the last deadline was in January. There'll be another one coming up next January. I'll definitely talk more about that. And then in terms of, so I talk about learning and workforce development, we also have programs that are more, not solely focused on learning and workforce development, but on research and development. Software and data products. And the research one is the OAC Core Research Program, which is part of the SI's Core Research Program. OAC is the only division with a deadline for small proposals, and OAC only takes small proposals. We don't do the larger ones. The other program that I'm going to talk a little bit about is the Cyber Infrastructure for Sustained Scientific Innovation Program, CSSI. That's the current solicitation number. There's actually, I can't say too much about, but if you go and look at that program page, you'll see that there's no deadline for 21 yet, and that's because it hasn't been released yet, but it will be announced at least 90 days in advance. That's a federal rule. And that's really sort of complementary to the core research program in that it really supports development and long-term sustainability of software and data cyber infrastructure. So let me talk a little bit first about the core research program. I'll start with those, and then I'll get into the learning and workforce development programs. So what the OAC core program focuses on is advanced cyber infrastructure research to impact future capabilities of research cyber infrastructure. So that's knowledge and design development, utilization of robust research cyber infrastructure. And the reason that we sort of include this in the learning and workforce development is that this is really part of a sort of research career path for cyber scientists and engineers, which means computer scientists as well as computational and data-driven science and engineering research, all focusing on advanced cyber infrastructure research thrusts. And you see here, I say that the next deadline is in November and December because the deadline hasn't been announced yet. Again, it has to be announced at least 90 days in advance. You can imagine, guess, I know this is being recorded, so I can't say too much, but there will be a deadline and you'll know at least 90 days in advance. So that means it can't actually be until at least the end of November because we're at the end of August already. Some characteristics of the types of research that the OAC core supports, and there's more details on the program page, which is linked from the solicitation, are that it focuses on translational research, which means that it spans design to practice and focuses on design, development, deployment, experimentation, application of advanced research cyber infrastructure. In terms of some other characteristics, that we don't expect projects to cover all of these areas, but typically they cover at least one, that they're either multidisciplinary, extreme scale, driven by science and engineering research, end-to-end solutions, meaning basically solving an entire scientific or engineering problem, and deployable as robust research cyber infrastructure. For the areas of research that are typically that we list as sort of typical, but this is not exclusive, right? There are other areas that we do support. Is architecture and middleware for extreme scale systems, which includes design, benchmarking, analysis, storage, networks, I/O, resource management. Focuses on sort of all areas related to advanced cyber infrastructure. Scalable algorithms and applications, which means things like numerical and high performance scientific computing methods, algorithms, implementations, data, software visualization, and then this is all typically in service, a lot of it is in service of doing modeling and simulation. Then there's the broader cyber infrastructure ecosystem, which looks at things like programming languages, libraries and environments, tools, and we do get proposals, which are fit sometimes with the socio-technical aspects. People are an important part of this. So that's it for the OAC core program. I have one slide on the CSSI program because this, I know there's a lot of interest in the community. This is a very large program that, again, OAC leads, but has actually participation from across the entire foundation, from all the directorates in the National Science Foundation. So in terms of this program, it supports development and deployment of robust, reliable, and sustainable data and software cyber infrastructure. Notice there, it's development and deployment, not research on these things, right? That's the core program. So bringing innovative capabilities towards sustained scientific innovation and discovery, opportunities to advance common approaches to sustain and innovate research cyber infrastructure, and yeah, this lists here a set of guiding principles that come from the solicitation about it being science, that the projects are science-driven, innovative. There's close collaborations among stakeholders. Typically, it builds on existing recognized capabilities, meaning that it can build on research in terms of translating that into actual wider use, right? So it can be the development part of those projects. The proposals we're looking for, again, if you look at the solicitation, that the projects have to have clear deliverables, demonstrate sustained and sustainable impacts, and we're looking for clear metrics and targets for those metrics. In prior solicitations, there were two types. In the current solicitation, there are two types of projects. There are smaller projects, which we call elements projects, that are small groups for creating and deploying robust capabilities, for which there's a demonstrated need. The frameworks are larger interdisciplinary projects organized around development and application of common infrastructure aimed at solving common research problems, again, in service of science and engineering research. But the frameworks, really, we're looking for a sustainable community framework that serves a diverse community or multiple communities, multiple science and engineering research communities. Right, so those are larger projects. If you look again at the solicitation, elements projects are up to 3 years and $600,000. Again, they can be collaborative across multiple institutions. Frameworks are much larger. Those can be up to 5 years and $5 million. They're can be quite large projects. The next deadline, if you look at the current solicitation, would be in November 2021, but because the date hasn't been posted yet, what that means is we know it won't be till later than that. It has to be at least 3 months from when the deadline, from when the date is posted. So more likely in December. Now I'll get into sort of the learning and the more people-oriented learning and workforce development programs. So the first one I'll talk about is the career program, the early career development program. And this supports junior faculty, junior tenure track faculty as a teacher or scholar. Typically tenure track, I should say. It is actually open to non-tenure track faculty who have significant teaching responsibilities. So we're looking for outstanding research, education, and integration of the education and research plans in the proposal. The PCASE awards, these Presidential Early Career Awards, which are actually government-wide awards, those are selected from among the awardees, from the career awardees. The number of OAC submissions grew for a while, and now it's been pretty steady. with across a broad variety of topics. The reason I talk about the OAC core program is that sort of lists the set of topics that actually career proposals also can have similar scope. Currently, if you go and look and do a search on the NSF award search, you'll see that there are over 30 active OAC career awardees. The current deadline was about a month ago. The next one should be, it's been typically in July every year. This is again an NSF-wide program that OAC participates in. So the next deadline should be in next July. It is indeed open to non-tenure track faculty. You can have limited funding for additional senior personnel. No co-PIs are allowed on career proposals. And the rules say that the minimum is $400K for 5 years. These are five-year grants, but typically they're on the order of $500,000 for size. And again, if you're interested, you can send me email. We can talk more about the kinds of projects. So OAC encourages proposals either of primary interest to OAC or secondary interest. You can list actually a secondary program. That's on your cover page. That's the program page. Again, you'll have access to these slides afterwards. And every year there's also SCI sponsors a career proposal writing workshop in April sometime. The last couple have been virtual. You can go look to see what's been done the last couple of years in terms of the activities that are provided to early career PIs to help them in writing their career proposals. The Research Initiation Initiative, that program is specific to SCIs, to the SCIs Directorate. This is for independent research for faculty or research scientists within their first 3 years of their first appointment. What that means is, and that means you also can't have any federal grant as a PI. You get 2 tries. The career proposal allows up to 3 tries. Last couple of years, we have now a template for the letter from your department head, your department chair, that certifies lack of essential resources. So you have to certify that this is really targeted at faculty with limited resources to begin with in their early career. The individuals can be a tenure track or research science or education position, but these are primarily research awards and not really focused on education. OAC, same research focus as for the core program. And really what we're talking about is computational and data intensive scientists, not just computer scientists. These are 2-year awards up to $175,000. Then the deadline is actually in less than a month, September 20th. So now would be the time to inquire about this if you're thinking about writing a proposal. So the goals really of this are to start kickstart a research program and a career. So that means we're not expecting the reviewers are not expecting the PI to have significant prior research results or maturity, start a path toward research independence, to develop collaborations, do exploratory investigations. So don't expect a lot of preliminary results or data. And another goal is to broaden the community of researchers. We're really focused hard on underserved subcommunities, we're underrepresented groups, let's say non-traditional institutions, non-R1, very research intensive institutions. Definitely looking for PIs from those places. The last program I'll talk about is the cyber training program. And the goals of this program are for research workforce development, okay? And that it focuses on sort of 2 areas. One is broad adoption of tools and methods, so training in adopting advanced cyber infrastructure tools and methods, and or curriculum and instructional material development and integration into the curriculum. For this program, there are 3 project classes. There's pilot projects, which are for exploratory activities. They're up to 2 years and $300,000. Implementation projects that are broadly accessible to a broader community. Small ones are up to 4 years and $500,000. Medium ones really are looking at building a community. And those are up to 4 years and $1 million. There are also large-scale project conceptualization a track that's up to 2 years and $500,000. That's looking at planning for a future larger scale cyber training project. Same communities of concern as I talked about at the beginning for learning and workforce development, cyber infrastructure professionals, contributors, and users. This program has participation from multiple directorates and divisions across the National Science Foundation with OAC as the lead. Again, the next deadline for this should be sometime in January. Hasn't been announced yet. But on this, we're talking about on the order, again, if you go do a search, you'll see there have been 10, 12, sometimes a little more awards per year the last several years. This program's been going on for about 5 years now. To finish up, I'll just talk about a couple other learning and workforce development opportunities within OAC. There's the intern DCL, which is for supplements for non-academic graduate students. Those are supplements to existing NSF awards. EAGRs, workshops, we do sponsor funding for workshops, travel to workshops like TK talked about, and then student travel grants. And then this tells you how to subscribe to the OAC mailing list, which gets not very much traffic, but we do announce things occasionally. So with that, I'll finish and stop sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Alan, for sharing all the opportunities. So one quick question. So as you know, there's a lot of focus on AI related things at NSF and all other federal agencies. So how is your program addressing those issues? So
we are seeing AI, what I would say, cyber infrastructure for AI and AI for cyber infrastructure, which you know a whole lot about from the Icicle Institute. We are seeing a lot of proposals in all these programs that are related to cyber infrastructure, AI for cyber infrastructure and cyber infrastructure for AI. And that, as long as it has a cyber infrastructure focus, that is perfectly appropriate for OAC and not, say, for core AI program, which would be in the IIS division. Mm-hmm. But okay, we're seeing a lot of activity around AI-related activities. That's good. That's good. Are there any other questions for Professor Sussman? Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks again for sharing all the things, and I hope these are informative for all students, junior researchers, and all to see how the pipeline looks over the years. So we'll switch back to Hongyang. I believe the technical issues have been resolved. Hongyang, would you like to share your